Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I will be taking the time out to review the 1999 movie Blast from the Past, which is starring Brendan Fraser, Alicia Silverstone, and surprisingly enough, Christopher Walken. Now, I've only taken the time out to actually watch the movie because of Brendan Fraser. If no one is aware, let me put out this, fun fact. He's actually been my first celebrity crush, and that's why I'm gonna be real, that's the only reason why I watched this movie. But this movie was interesting enough because of all of the relating themes that actually appeared in the movie nonetheless. So let's get into it. So the movie takes place in Los Angeles, California in 1962. It's typically, kind of staged in maybe like a suburban kind of area where the person we're actually introduced to is the father upon rumors and, kind of gossiping between the housewives and the house husbands. So perceived to be a golden boy professor from Caltech who actually was able to accumulate a bit of funding, substantial coins, to actually build a bunker. And it's prevalent because of the propaganda that was going around associated with the Cold War, that there would be an actual fallout between Russia and America, US. So he actually took the steps to make a bunker or a shelter to preserve the life of himself, his wife, and his future child. So that takes place, and while having the gathering at his house, ultimately that propaganda comes up again on the TV as they're stating that JFK is having some kind of talk with I forget, but it's very substantial to their scaring. So they had a bit of media scare, and then all of a sudden they basically push everybody out, and then and then it moves on to they're kind of freaking out because of what they heard on the TV. Again, propaganda and media scaring, and then they go into the bunker, and on the assumptions that they're about to receive missile attacks or whatever. So they go to the bunker, they go in, and then they start hearing they hear a crash above them, not knowing that this crash is just a pilot jet that couldn't land properly, and he crashed into their house. So to them, they kind of just assume that worst came to worst, and the shit hit the fan, and the commies came and got them. But actually it was just a pilot jet that crashed on top of their their house, and they were on the bunker, and they sealed themselves in the bunker. And the father told the wife that we have to stay in here for 35 years just because that's the shelf life of an atomic bomb or atomic blast. And they kind of just agreed and stayed there to raise their child. And eventually her water broke, and she went into labor maybe a day after, and he was born. So he was born after the apocalypse to them. So after the son was born, they called him Adam. So see, there's a theory that I have with this. I may be reaching, but I thought she was saying Adam as in atom bomb, ATOM. But I think she also kind of meant Adam, Adam and Eve, like a religious kind of thing. So I think she was kind of mixing religion and reality, or their reality, which she perceived to be their reality, mixing that together to make Adam. Again, I said, I could be reaching, but I can see it. But anyways, they named their son Adam, and she kind of thought that it would be sacrilegious to name him that. I just thought it was a little fun fact to put in there. So they proceed on to raise his child, and they teach him well-rounded, skills like, being a gentleman, being like a man of those times, so like a traditional based man, making a well-rounded man. So years pass, and eventually, not eventually, but after I think 3 years, education is brought up, like the public education is brought up, with the fact that he's only 3 years old by this time he's able to read Alice's Winter Wonderland, which I feel like is, ages above like his reading level, and he's able to read it perfectly fine. So I just thought that was actually funny that they put that little bit of like detail in the movie. But nonetheless, more times goes by, and he's learning all these things that is substantial for you being a traditional man. And actually, I kind of skipped over a part. Well, back when they were in the shelter, it seemed like the mother was like actually not really fond of this man. Like in a world where we're actually forced to be with our significant other, we learn how much we're not really wanting to be with that person. At least in this case, it didn't seem like she really wanted to be with this man for 35 years. At least not secluded just to seeing him every day and not being able to see other people, which I can understand, but nonetheless. And then after time, he's like 35, and they're saying that it's about time that he goes out, and he's like very interested in meeting, another woman. And yeah, so they kind of say that we need to like wait a day. So the dad actually goes out, and he's like seeing what like the world above is like now, and if it's like, safe for them to venture out and, go explore. And while he's exploring, he's seeing all these different things now, like, because it's totally different from what he's used to. His like 1962 Suburban placing or whatever standards is totally not like that. And I just thought it was really funny, because that's very like a lot of people today feel that way. And it's kind of like how he just writ it off as like a radioactive like effects of like modern society, because it was nothing like his traditional set-based values. And he's actually approached by a transgender woman who happens to be facilitating sexual activities for the exchange of money. And he's just like, are you like, what are you like? And he was just so confused, and I just thought it was really funny, because it goes back to like the whole red pill controversy or like conversation in traditional like retrospects and all that. So I just thought it was like kind of relative and kind of funny that nobody really pointed that out in this movie, and I don't know if anybody actually drew the connection, but I did nonetheless. He came back into the shelter to inform his family about his findings above, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna rule it out, like it's kind of like fucked up there, like radioactive effects. People are acting crazy, pulling out guns, vomiting wherever they want to, cussing, and it was just totally different than what he was brought up to believe, and I can understand it. So we move towards the conflict, or a bigger kind of substantial conflict in the movie, where they're having a conversation about how they need to just stay there because they have enough resources in the bunker to sustain life another 15 years that they feel. But the wife is just like, damn, I don't want to be here another 5 years or whatever, like I want to go out. And he's like, we shall stay, and that is it. So he kind of pressed his authority, and then I guess he had like a little like I don't know if it was a stroke or a heart attack. It was never like confirmed or denied in the movie. But he had some complications to where he couldn't like really breathe and he fell out, and they were all scared. So that's what prompted the son to actually go to the surface to bring back like medicine and, you know, more food for his father. And, you know, that happens, and then the wife is like informing the son of all like things that he'll probably need, which is like money or like the like a grocery list of like what they need to bring back or what she's hoping to bring back. And then he goes to surface, and then he realizes that like, because he doesn't really like, and he doesn't know anything, like he's a child, like he's a man because he's 35, but he's a child because he's never been in any like kind of like, he hasn't been in any associations with any other people except for his parents. And basically they taught him everything good, and they didn't really teach him the bad values of the world. So he's just kind of going into it with like a blind eye, and he's like just so naive to everything. And he actually goes and he tries to sell, or actually he goes to the grocery store at first, and he tries to buy all of the things that they probably need, but finds out that $3,000 that she gave him does not even cover the very least of what he needs. And, you know, he's presented with he's presented with the fact of inflation. Inflation has definitely been a source of our problems, but he uses the stuff that his mother gave him, like baseball cards, and he sells those baseball cards, which ends up being, you know, inflated as well. The price inflation works in many ways, you know, and to his luck, you know, he used the baseball cards to use it to get more money. But when he went to the pawn shop to get some money for the baseball cards, the guy who was owning it or running it, he was trying to like scheme it out of his money. And this woman who has more knowledge about baseball cards and how much they're estimated to be, she tells the man that, hey, that's not how much it's supposed to go for. You're gonna give him $50 or $500 for the whole set when one card is $6,000? Bro, don't do that. He's like, shut up, girl, you're gonna get fired. And she was like, well, firing me. Actually, I quit. And I was like, yes. At least there's still decent people in the world. And he's just like so enamored with her. Brandon Fraser is so enamored with Lisa Silverstone, which happens to be Eve. So Adam and Eve. But yeah. Anyways, that's mostly a good amount of the story. Now I wanted to really get into what I kind of received the meaning of that movie to be. So I kind of received it as like kind of a dystopian kind of like it was kind of like a dystopian world in a way, because it hits on like certain aspects that we are living in currently, like the whole, I'm not gonna say when the COVID-19 was around, because I can't really say the word, but when that was around, everybody was secluded, everybody was, you know, isolated to their own homes. And I thought that they, for it to be like a movie set came out in 1999, they shouldn't have been aware of some things, but of course, because history, whatever. But in this one isolated incident, the wife seemed like she really wasn't really wanting to be there for the 35 years. And I just thought it was funny, because like, how are you married to a man and you can't be alone with this man for what, I think it was like maybe 5 years by the time she got tired of like seeing him every day. And I was just like, I just thought that was weird. But that was also a connection with the COVID 19 thing, where you found like a lot of people breaking up because they were isolating together. They was basically quarantining together, and they realized that they just did not like each other. Or the other related aspects of this film is like the whole red pill versus blue pill controversy. That traditional men are not traditional men anymore, because obviously even that was like kind of depicted in the film as well, when the men that Eve was actually with before her ex-boyfriend was not like adapted to being a man, because it came out like they had a fighting scene with him and Brandon Fraser, and Brandon was like, bro, I can defend myself. I have skills. And he did have skills. And I'm seeing a lot of, I mean, I'm not going to say or try to conflate that just because you can't fight, it does not make you a man. But it does kind of relate in a way. We have to be honest. Because, like, for you to be a traditional man, you would have to be able to protect and kind of, you know? But I digress. I just thought it was a little tidbit to put in there. But anyways, there was a lot of things that I thought was kind of weird that they put in the movie. And I watched other reviews on the movie as well, and nobody's picked up the same thing as me. So I was just like putting it out there, like maybe y'all guys saw the same thing. Or maybe you guys can infer the same things that I've seen now that it's being pointed out. So, yeah, that was that movie. It was kind of like a cluster. But if you understand, you understand. And if you fuck with the kid, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what other movies I should cover. Or if I should cover other movies, or should I like move over to like controversial topics or whatnot. But I'd like to hear from you. I'm Africa Speaks. Thank you for joining me. Signing out. Peace.